your portfolio will make or break you, because it's usually the first thing a client will look at, and it is often the main thing they'll use to decide whether to hire you or not. So obviously nailing it is critical. But one of the biggest mistakes I see with freelance portfolios is not telling what I call the project story. So let me give you an example of that. When I built the membership site for Inc. magazine, the project lead, Lewis, he'd been trying to get the site built for nearly 2 years. He'd spent a ton hiring other developers, and he still didn't even have a beta for his site. Now, to be fair, his project was a little bit complicated. He wanted a location-based membership, and he was building it in WordPress. So he wanted members from different location-based chapters to see different content when they logged into the site. And he wanted it to just be a click or two on his end to make it all work. So definitely was not native to WordPress, and it was not something that was just super simple to do. But I dug into it. I wrote a couple algorithms to make the location switching simple, a few page templates to display content based on location, a couple custom widgets to display member information differently for different locations, and then I made it a single click on his end when he was creating content in order to mark that content for different locations. And all told, I had his beta site up in less than a month. So needless to say, he was pretty happy. He wasn't a guy to offer a ton of praise or be very effusive with his praise. He was a very hard-nosed guy. But when we did get done, he did tell me, your work and wisdom on this project has been tremendous, which was about as good as you were going to get from him. Okay, so take a step back and just think about the story I just told you. Imagine you're a client that's thinking about hiring me, and you read that story on my portfolio page. You see the screenshots, you see the testimonial from Lewis. Would that be convincing to you to hire me? Maybe, maybe not on its own. But what if you opened another portfolio item and you read an equally compelling story, and another and another and another? How many would it take before you finally said, okay, I believe I'm going to give this guy a shot? And if you think about this, compare that to what you see from most portfolios. Often they're just product images. A lot of freelancers don't even give you a project description. Matter of fact, when I was doing some looking around, when I was thinking about this topic, I found agencies that were running Google ads, paying $3, $4, $5, $6, however many dollars per click, who when you went to their portfolio, it was just product images. And a lot of them looked like stock photography. Like I couldn't even tell if they were legit portfolio items. Yet they're paying probably hundreds or thousands of dollars a week or month to run those ads, and their portfolio is awful. Now you compare that to one of the top freelance WordPress developers, Bill Erickson. I think his website's billerickson.net, or you can just Google Bill Erickson. But if you go to his portfolio, you're going to see that he actually gives you some information. Now, he doesn't do 100% of what I recommend. I think he could go further and really telling the project story, but at least he gives you some information. He makes it clear that it's a legit project that he worked on. He gives you a testimonial to go along with it. He tells you some of the unique features of that project. Like he gives it some sort of life, right? So if you compare those two things, like they're not even close. So if you want to create a portfolio that is really engaging and really compelling and really persuasive, put in the work to do this kind of thing. You have to remember, people buy on emotion. In this particular case, the emotion you're after is hope. They've probably been looking around at other freelancers. They've seen those portfolios that look like stock photography, and they've been disappointed. And now they come across you and they see your project stories and they see your portfolio, and they have just that little spark of hope that you might just be the person who can actually deliver for them. That's what you're after. That's the emotion that you're after. And stories are what help create that emotion. So you always want to make sure and include the project story in your portfolio. If you want to compete with the best of the best, take this extra step. Now, that said, this is just one of the things that I teach you how to do in the latest episode of my Let's Talk Freelance course on Skillshare. In that episode, you also get wireframes and instructions on how to lay out your portfolio. You get my 5-part project description formula, 3 rules you must never break when creating your portfolio, and which projects you should feature prominently in your portfolio and which ones you should leave out altogether. So if you'd like to take the lesson and get access to the PDF download and wireframes and all that for free, just head on over to letstalkfreelance.com to get all the information on how to get access and so forth.